And good morning. It's your brother Greg Meriweather, man. It's good to be back on Monday. And so, man, it's been a great weekend. I've had an exceptional weekend, actually. Kind of peaceful, not a lot going on. But today, man, we got a great show lined up today. We got a brother who's doing some work, man. I tease him a lot. I tell him he's coming up, and everybody's starting to, pull at him and getting famous in the town. I start to see us. He's getting awards. He's doing his thing. But today, man, we're gonna talk about Juneteenth. He's the executive director of Indy Juneteenth. This brother is young brother who's working. Came into the town on fire, and so it's gonna be fun. I want you all to chime in. It's no apologies, please. So we're gonna really chop it up with this brother. I want to hear his thoughts. I want to hear what he's thinking and what he's gonna do with Indy Juneteenth. So, you know what? Without further ado, I'm gonna welcome my brother to the show, and that brother is none other than my brother, James Webb. Let's bring him on. What's up, my brother?
What's going on? How you feel, man?
I'm feeling good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's a Monday morning.
Yeah.
I'm blessed, man. If there was some complaining to do, it wouldn't work anyway.
You hear me? I totally understand, man. So yeah, we talked about collabing and bringing you onto the show to talk about what it is that you're doing. So why don't you take a few minutes and introduce yourself to the fans of No Apologies, please?
Awesome, man. Well, first of all, thank you for letting me be on the show.
No doubt.
It really means a lot. When not only you get called out by strangers, but when your peers, the big homies say, "Oh, let's talk." That means a lot.
No doubt.
Yeah, so thank you, brother. But yeah, my name is James Webb. I'm the executive director of Indy Juneteenth, which was co-founded alongside with my wife, Tawana Webb. We're both from Northwest Indiana, both from Lake County. I'm from Gary, Indiana. She's from East Chicago. We both moved down to Indianapolis about 12, 13 years ago. We're raising our family here. Yeah, man. So we started Indy Juneteenth collectively in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to organize and mobilize it in 2016. And this year we'll be celebrating our 7th anniversary. Officially, the 7th annual Indy Juneteenth celebration will be taking place from June 12th through the 19th.
Nice.
We looked at Juneteenth as a way to not only just to celebrate a particular moment in history, but to also find ways to serve our community. So we not only created the celebration that's been the 7th annual. We also started the mentor program, the scholarship program, the Miss Indy Juneteenth scholarship pageant. We started the USA Boxing sanctioned boxing program and the financial literacy things that we do in the community, and so many others things that we do. So so we don't just come together during June and then just have a celebration and we go away. We are a nonprofit organization that operates 365 days a year.
So when we think of Juneteenth, give people some of the history on what took place with Juneteenth in Galveston, Texas.
Okay, so let's say this. First, let's just get everything out the way. Juneteenth wasn't even the most recent moment that the U.S. colored troops had to march from the South to the North to spread that the abolition of slavery is now in effect. Mm-hmm. So some people in Kentucky celebrate August 8th, and there's other dates.
Sure.
But what was going on at the time is that, so obviously, you're losing a lot of money when you're losing free labor. That was taking place in the South. So there were organizations there were unions being created, like the Planters Society and so many others that were being created after the Emancipation Proclamation was being signed. And they just were like, nah, we're not freeing no slaves. I'm going to get this money and ain't nothing you could do about it. So it took from 1862 to about 1864. A lot of white soldiers weren't even trained well. So it took a lot of black U.S. colored troops to even train other soldiers to get ready to go and put this into effect, that the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed. So what happened was on June 19th, 1865, United States colored troop, along with General Gordon Granger, they stormed the Confederacy capital, in Galveston, Texas, and then enforcing that slavery had been abolished, which became the keynote moment of creating what is Juneteenth. So it was the original push to end slavery, socially, not just by law.
Yeah. So when we look at just slavery being abolished, I gotta be.
Come on, man.
So quick shout out, man, from the Black Butterfly podcast. They said, "What's up, y'all?" Greg,
what's up, baby?
Yeah, that's family. So they said, "What y'all go way back that we've connected, and they just want to send love." So, So when we look at slavery, and just the word, we thrive on it. There's actually an Emancipation Day that takes place every single year here in the city of Indianapolis, right? Now I'm challenged by it. I'll be real with you. I got to say that I'm challenged by it because when I think about the word emancipation from the Oxford Language Dictionary, it says it's a noun, the fact or process of being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions, liberation. So when I think about being set free from legal, social, or political restrictions, it makes me think, in celebration of things like the emancipation, have we been emancipated?
I mean, it says in itself in the 13th Amendment, that slavery still exists, behind bars. And then there's a social I don't want to get too mental health right now with it, but there's like a social mental PTSD that we have when dealing with law enforcement that still exists.
Sure.
Freedom and emancipation from a cultural perspective may not exist. But like I always tell people, when we think of terms of Juneteenth, it was the beginning push to create the narrative to try and achieve those things. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I get a lot of feedback and a lot of mail. I get a lot of hate mail from white folk.
Oh Lord.
Well, death threats. And then I get a lot of
for real.
Yeah, man. I get a lot of you should see some of the emails and the comments on our post. I just delete them real quick or send them to wherever they're supposed to go. But they hate the word Juneteenth because I can't hide that something's black behind that word. It's people. True. Anybody can have a Juneteenth program. You don't know who's doing that. But if the organization has Juneteenth in the name, black folk.
You're a target.
Yeah. And then I get hate mail from brothers all the time too. We not free, we this, we that, and that's why I'm glad you brought me on the show. Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, no, we not. But the way you're looking at Juneteenth, my brother, not you particularly, but I'm just
sure.
You're looking at Juneteenth as, well, we're not free, and I'm not going to celebrate it. Well, I looked at it as, well, no, we're not free, but I'm going to use Juneteenth to help make us free. And I'm going to try to implement things in the community to try to get us as close to that as possible.
Commendable, totally commendable. So when you think about just the state of Indiana, the state of Indiana, the city of Indianapolis in which we reside, and we look around, and one of the things that people who know me know, I say it all the time: first in everything bad, last in everything good. What's the reception? What's the reception that you receive from what I call so-called leaders or government officials? I mean, right now, let me say this. I have to say this, J-Dub, is the fact that I say this. I said they'll hijack your stuff. For lack of better terms, I would say it differently if we were sitting in our spot. I'll be like, they'll hijack your if you let them.
Right.
What's the temperature when we look, and this, you said this is the 7th
It's the
anniversary.
seventh anniversary. Yep.
Lucky number 7. 7-year itch. You know that people. It's usually when couples break up. So you tell me, what's the temperature like, man? When you look at the powers that be, people that look like you and me, and then also people who don't, who are in positions of power in the state or the city.
Well, I'm a segue into that to also mention that I also hold the title of the Indiana State Director of the National Juneteenth Observance Foundation.
My
So
man.
I'm not only getting that gauging that temperature from the city of Indianapolis, I'm also in communication with Lake County, Evansville, Fort Wayne. You know what I mean? So I'm getting it. And initially, because nowadays the big thing is DEI, that whole, that thing is being pushed,
being dismantled,
being
annihilated.
Yeah. Yeah. So the temperature, I would say, is everyone wants to help, everyone wants to learn, everyone wants to be educated, but then also you understand that you can tell who's genuine and who isn't. So we've scaled back a lot from working with a lot of people, and we turned down. I don't want to use any names of any controversial.
Leave that to me.
Yeah, cool.
Go right ahead.
We've turned down working with some people because of it's like I don't think that your intentions are genuine, and then you have a history of disrespecting Black culture. So, but overall, with the leaders, I would say there are a lot of leaders who are willing to help. There have been a lot of people who are trying to guide us in a direction that they want to see Juneteenth go in, and we're still trying to maintain we still want to keep this for us and by us.
Sure. I love it. So it takes me to a place where a few years back, you had a situation in I think it was in Greenville, South Carolina. And let me look. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, it was actually last year. So you had a situation in Greenville, South Carolina, and the Juneteenth Greenville board, and led by founder Reuben Hayes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
had a lot of backlash, and I'm going to share it. You already know.
I know what you're doing now. Yeah, I know what you're about to share.
Yeah. So let's show it.
Yeah.
So I saw this, and I'm just like, come on, dog. So when you see this, and you look to the right.
Yeah, I remember.
And it said the banners featuring a smiling white man and white woman sparked outrage and calls for a boycott. And so when I see that, it's like I know that in our culture, a lot of things tend to get whitewashed.
Right.
And all of a sudden we look, and when we are, I say this all the time, we are the most inclusive people who have the least.
That's so true.
And all of a sudden it's like we don't. When the Divine Nine was created, it was created because we couldn't be in that stuff, right? When you think about the NAACP and all those types of organizations that was created, it was created because we couldn't be in their stuff. When you think about the Urban League, it was created because we couldn't be in their stuff. All the stuff that we created, everything for the most part that we created to go against white supremacy, for the most part right now, are being ran by white supremacy. And we look now, and in Indianapolis, you talk about Expo diminishing, the voice of Urban League diminished, the voice of the NAACP. If you even think about the NAACP, the scary part about the NAACP is the top award. I can't even think of the guy's name. He's a white male, but the top award, let's find it. But the top award from the NAACP was this white guy. The crazy thing about it is they've not changed it, even though in history it found out that he infiltrated it. He played both sides of the coin. So he was on the inside giving intel and running the organization.
Oh wow. So
and the top award from the NAACP is still under this dude's name. So how do you prevent whitewashing of what it is that you're doing? Because when it's all said and done, Black Expo in the summer is no longer called Black Expo. It's called Summer Celebration. And the reason it's called Summer Celebration is because we wanted to be, but some people wanted to be inclusive. Let me show you this. Let me show you this before you answer that.
All right.
This is the other part. I want you to see this because I'm going to show you how strange it is when we think about whitewashing, right? When we think about whitewashing, we always looking like, I had to be some white people doing blah, blah, blah. This is the Galveston, or this is the Greenville board. All right, look at this. Reuben Hayes, board member, founder, right? Van David Vernon, board member, co-founder. Pete Lee, board member, co-founder. Look at the faces. Look at the faces. And all of a sudden you look at all these faces that look like you and I, but you ended up with a sign that totally went against the grain. How does that happen?
I mean, somebody dropped the ball in editing.
Did they drop? On real? Did they drop the ball?
Okay, let me answer that. So about the actual image that's right there. Have you ever created a like a shirt company? Like you ever had like a shirt design or anything like that?
Yeah.
So they have those mock-ups, right? The way it would look if it's on someone's shirt, and it's like artificially AI generated. So we were creating shirts like the People's Free Food Program, and we were creating shirts about Indy Juneteenth and our food drives that we do. And we hit the mock-up button, and it's a whole lot of white folks and stuff like that wearing our shirts. We like, man, they'll fire us if we. So I'm not defending what happened in South Carolina. I'm just thinking somebody was rushing the job creating the mock-up of that image. I'm hoping that's what happened over there. So okay. I don't know, and I don't know them to defend them, and I communicate with at least 40 different other Juneteenth organizations, but I do not communicate with them throughout the country. Okay. But I will say this: the way that does not happen to us is if the people support us. Like when we were in like year 3 and year 4, we would say things like, "Hey, man, don't let them take this from us," and the reason why we would say that is because we needed the people, and we understood that we were a grassroots organization, and if it wasn't for my fellow alums at Indiana State University having our back, we wouldn't have been able to have two in 2018 and 2019 before George Floyd and COVID. We wouldn't have been able to have 4,000 and 5,000 people at Riverside Park celebrating Juneteenth for the first time. So sure. we have to stay diligent and have to stay.
You was on your marketing thing when you did Riverside.
Yeah, I really was. Because the first place to the roller coaster and desegregated and all that. That was me educating myself on the city that I live in now.
You know that Black people didn't always used to be able to go.
Right.
And so they used to have a thing called Negro Frolic Day. We still frolicking. We still frolicking to Riverside Park unknowingly. That the reason that we frolic to Riverside Park is because it was the park that opened up once every whatever for Black people to be able to go to the place, to the amusement park. I don't know if it was once a year or once a month, but it was called Negro Frolic Day.
Negro Frolic Day.
It was probably the other N word with the ER.
Right.
Frolic Day, and we was able to enjoy the park. But it was a good marketing thing. But that's why Riverside stays so fat. We don't even know why we go.
Right.
Real talk.
I respect that. But then that trickulated, we went from there to 4,000, 5,000 to over 15,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I say all that to say this. We won't be able to maintain this without the support of the people. And when I say the support of the people, it's the big mamas, the granddaddies, the babies, the people who look just like us. Yes, we would like, sponsors and things like that and grants. But if I can't get the people who look like me, that come from low-income communities like me, to continue to have a reason to come out and support me, then what am I really doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why it's important for us to continue to be in the community, doing these financial literacy programs, doing the mentoring, doing all of this stuff, so people can see that, hey, we're really we're really out here doing something, and that's what we're going to try to maintain it at that level.
How do people get to know about that stuff? Because when you say, Indy Juneteenth, and we think about this, the celebration, I'm gonna say this. One thing that kind of disturbs me in a way is that a lot of stuff that we do now is we party. All the stuff that you talk about, the other stuff, the stuff that's doing some developmental stuff to the mind, developing the community, preparing us financially, economically, so on and so forth. Are those? This is a good question. Are those things held in as high regard as the party?
To us, yes.
Okay.
Getting that support, no, because people, they're like, hey, because when they hear Indy Juneteenth, all they think about is
turn up.
So we're like, okay, we want this same type of turnout October for our clothing drive, November for our food drive, December for our toy drive, for our financial literacy stuff that we do, for our boxing programs that we do. We want that same type of turnout because the money that we raise from Indy Juneteenth, we give it back to the community in scholarships and food donations and so many other things. And the way people can recognize that, I didn't want shameful plug, just follow us at Indy Juneteenth on Instagram, indyjuneteenth.org or Facebook, and then people can see those things. Because trust me, I'm paying for the marketing and promotion the same way I pay for the marketing promotion for the turn up. I'm doing the same thing for the turkey drive.
Yeah,
People's free food program in November, and we the first year we did it, we gave away 60 total food baskets. That's a whole Thanksgiving dinner. This year we were only able to do like 40 or something, and I'm like, nah, man, that number needs to be like 400 or 4,000. You see what I'm saying? Because I know it's a lot of brothers who look just like me.
I'm gonna mess with you on that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let's do that.
I'm gonna mess with you in the reversal.
Okay, here we go.
Because here's what I want you to think of.
Okay.
I want you to think the more I help, the more I decrease, as opposed to more I increase. Because anything that we do, if we're doing it and we're getting it right, it should decrease.
It should. Okay, I respect that.
It should decrease because at the end of because we're solving the problem.
Understood.
So we should get to a point where we say, you know what? If I gave away 1,000 backpacks, I should give away 900 next year, 800 the next year, 700, till I get to the point where it's like, this is no longer an issue. I'm solving the problem because I'm decreasing it. Because I want us to get to a place where we say, you know what? I fed people till they could feed themselves.
Thanks.
Because, if I don't know if you saw this, but I had Toby Miller on here and I said the Pavlov theory. I said Pavlov had the dogs. At first he tried to whistle, right? It didn't work. Then he tried to dog just the food and it didn't work. Then he tried to whistle and the food and it worked. Then all of a sudden when they got used to it, the whistle and the food, the whistle and the food, the whistle and the food, all I had to do was use the whistle. And then the dogs start to salivate. So what they've done to Black folk is they've made them salivate now. They wait on the drive. They wait on the things. They wait on the party. They wait on everything as opposed to creating the system that says I do it for myself. So they follow the Pavlov theory to give us a mentality of getting handouts. So we have to diminish that mentality. That's what I'm saying.
We used to say something similar to that about the elephant with the chain on his foot.
Yeah. That's right. Not realizing he could break away.
Right. So they put it on as a baby.
Put it on as a baby.
And so now that they're grown, for those who don't know the story, now that they're grown and easily could break the chain, they don't break it.
They won't do it. That's right. Created the mindset of being weak and inferior as opposed to strong and independent. So with that, yeah. And so I asked a question, bro. I don't think you saw it, but I asked a question yesterday on Facebook, and I said, is Styx Black owned? Then I said, people laughed. I said, is Styx Black owned? And then I said, is Burn Black owned?
I don't know.
And I know I just asked for spits and giggles. But the reason I asked that is because I look and I see people advertising for them. I don't see a lot of people advertising for things of substance. I don't see the same people that talk about pro-Black and got the fist up, posting or sharing, no apologies, please, and say, watch this because we're going to learn something. I don't see them posting and saying Indy Juneteenth has this popping, or that popping.
Yeah.
I don't see the thing where all the stuff, the nuances, the things that could be good for us being shared that are owned by us, nonetheless.
Right.
Owned by us, doing good for us. I see them advertising, making sure this community, which is the Asian community owned by Sticks, they pub it on the black pages, pro-black people, pub and all that, come down to Burn, Rocky Patel, an Indian-owned business, and say, fill the seats and do this. We've paying $500 to go in there for All-Star Weekend, but stuff that's easily accessible, free, with $1 million knowledge gets no play. As the leader in Indy Juneteenth, how do you combat that type of mentality?
Not being discouraged, still pushing forth. People, the word narrative has such a negative connotation to it now, a lot of times, in my opinion, but still pushing the narrative that we're here as a tool for Black culture. So a lot of times education is needed. And then so we used to say like we're big boxing fans, right? And Customato, Mike Tyson's first trainer, once said, he said, "I see a spark in a child, I feed that spark, I turn it into a flame, I feed that flame, I turn it into a fire, I feed that fire, I turn it into a roaring blaze."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that was the blaze that he was referring to Mike Tyson, who he created, you know what I'm saying, in the ring. So that just tells me I haven't ignited enough sparks. Mm-hmm. I haven't fed those fires to turn them into a roaring blaze about Black culture, which just means I have a lot more work to do. My wife has more work to do. Gregory Meriweather has more work to do. My team has work to do. And influencing other people to understand the beauty in supporting Black businesses more than it, just as much or more than you're supporting those other businesses, because those businesses that income comes back into your community. And I try to break it down to people so much, like, look, I was just on a panel the other day about summer programming for schools, and it was like, I really just wanted to say, if we supported Black businesses and we supported, our local communities, our property values would rise before gentrification, which means those tax dollars would then go to fund our schools, which would make our school systems much better. And then we're educating our children much better. Then the statistics show that someone who's more educated has a less likely tendency to commit crime, especially violent crimes. So it's me having to create those sparks and feed those flames to tell people, if you want summer programming to be great, then August to May or August to June in the school system's got to be great, because that's what make good summers.
So when you say that, I like that. Here's the ugly part. 3 out of 10 Black people in Indianapolis own a home.
Right.
So home ownership feeds into the taxes, which feeds into the school systems. So if you don't own the home, so goes the school, so goes the education, so increases the poverty, literacy, the ability to read and write. 75% of your people in prison are illiterate.
All of that's great. So what's the solution? The solution, ownership, educating people on how to own. Educating people on, hey, man, don't sell Big Mama's house, stuff like that, all trickles down. I hate that phrase too, but it all trickles down in improving our community. And a lot of people, they support the Rocky Patels and the Burns because they just don't see the value in their own culture. They don't see the value in their own things. Oh, it's ghetto, or it's this, or it's that. And it's going to keep being ghetto if you don't go support it. You know
That's true. Or it's not going to exist.
Or it's not going to exist. And then you're going to be the first one to say, man, we don't never have nothing in it. We got to go all the way to Carmel to go to do, like, we got to go downtown, when you should have that right here in your community. I shouldn't have to drive 45 minutes to go to a Black-owned spot. We should have them all over us. You know what
I agree. And that's why, honestly, when people talk about just the cigar culture in Indy, I don't go to Havana I would go there first, but you've got two. I don't go to Cosmos, but you've got two.
Okay.
And then for those that just lounges, you got a ton of those. I go to where we go. We go to AJ's because I support it because it's old school and classy. But when it's all said and done, before I advertise for Rocky Patel, before I advertise for Burn, before I advertise
Yeah.
for any of those venues, before I advertise for Sticks, please, I will tell you to drive 45 minutes to go to Havana or tell you to go to Cosmos. Because when it's all said and done, it's like, for lack of better examples, as he goes through his legal trials. But I remember hearing Jay-Z he said, I'll basically do something different before I not support Ciroc. He's like, I'm not. He said as long as this dude involved with Ciroc, I'm gonna support Ciroc. He said,
Right.
y'all need to stop, because when it's all said and done, we just do such a poor job. And it stimulated me, and it was so good because it was pivotal, because I knew you were coming to the show. But I said, I'm gonna ask these people, because you could look right now, you could go on Facebook or Instagram or something. I guarantee you're gonna say, we having a social at Sticks. And I'm gonna say, why are you advertising that? That brings nothing to your community. And when people send me stuff, you know how this goes. People send me stuff to my page because of the followership and say, can you do this? But they don't think about how Kim Kardashian and all the Kardashians got rich on Instagram by simply advertising people's stuff. I don't advertise nobody's nothing unless you've got a check, because that's just the way the system goes. But nonetheless, so tell me, man, when you talk about, we always want to talk about Black Wall Street and stuff like that with financial literacy. How's that working in your organization to develop the minds of people to get financially fit?
Well, right now we're working with the youth. We do a 6-month. I like to call it like a therapeutic approach to pageantry. You know what I mean? So my wife and her team, with the help of like State Farm and a few other economic gurus, if you want to call them that I know personally, they have the young sisters, from January to June. They work with them on home ownership, the importance of life insurance, stuff like that. So the feedback we're getting, I would love for the crowds to be larger, but we have a specific crowd that we've been reaching consistently over the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just about me finding more ways and getting on more platforms such as this to let people know that it even exists. So a lot of people don't.
Yeah. So I see something on here. Someone says, Eleanor Anderson says, somebody, all caps, owns the property and pays the taxes regardless. Let me tell you something. Hear me out. The average Carmel home value,
just about to go there. Come on,
is $503,000, $503,545. $503,545 is the average home value in Carmel. And if you're paying $500,000, $500,000, and the taxes on that property, that's why you have good schools. So where there's poor $20,000 houses, $30,000 houses, low taxes. See, this is where people get it twisted, because they don't think about gentrification. They don't think about how you run the value of the property down. Then you come and overtake it, because then you get the big house in there. Then it overthrows everybody's taxes. And that which was once affordable for those who can own their home, they get ran out. The other people that you're talking about, the so-called investor, then they get to sell their property. So then they make profit, then they build bigger homes, then we get ran out. Don't get lazy on me and say somebody owns the property and pays the taxes regardless, because when it's all said and done, taxes make great schools.
Facts.
Period.
Facts.
Period. And see, and that's where we lose on the educational piece.
I was saying the exact same thing, man. Right before I moved to Indianapolis, I was working as a social worker back home in Lake County, and I went into Lowell High School. I don't know if anybody ever been to Lowell, Indiana. I went at high school, and at that time, it was so beautiful in there. And I was like, it was just a percentage of the population of Gary. And I'm looking like, Gary should have 5 of these. Meanwhile, the high school that I went to, my beloved Emerson School for the Visual and Performing Arts, it was asbestos on a whole wing. We couldn't even, my senior year, we couldn't even go to that side of the building.
Real.
You know what I mean? So I'm just like, man, but that's a great point. I agree with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Black Butterfly Pod says, so I had someone close to me say, why when we start stuff, it's always bootleg. I said, well, if all of us support and throw our money at it, then it would be less bootleg. Go support it. I said to him, whites will start something and most of them will support it. We start something and we won't support it until it's at tail end.
Man, look here, man. Look here. So I'm a big I got partners that are in the drag racing. And if you know the history of like NASCAR, nothing was more bootleg than that. It was literally bootlegging.
Literally. Yep.
Literally bootlegging. And that started in the back country roads of Kentucky, but they supported it. And now look at NASCAR.
That's right. Same with the Indy 500. Same way. People just said we're gonna do something, and people got on board with it.
Yeah,
it's like we want, even like with this. Listen, it's so crazy because my ticker is showing how people can donate to the show, and it runs through the show. But the crazy thing is, they're gonna be like, "Why ain't I showing up like CNN?"
You don't got CNN money.
Exactly. But then what happens is this: people will, man, I didn't catch the show. Well, it's still on there. Go look at it. How'd the show go? Well, you can still go watch it, right? But it's that mentality that or the cancellations, don't take it serious enough to say I'm gonna support it and be there because I said I was gonna come. It's so much stuff, bro, that I've dealt with in Black business as it relates to our own people when trying to build something to help support us. It's like we dropped the ball more so than anybody.
Right.
With the dollar circulating in our own community for 6 hours, and we got the nerve to support and share somebody in a whole nother culture's business on our pages.
Right. And then they complain when I'm not getting the support from my local community, but I'm still trying to do something for my local community. I reach out elsewhere to try to generate that revenue to bring it back to my community. And they're like, why are you working with like who did I work with? Like one of my sponsors, Pacer Sports and Entertainment. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, why? My bad.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, now everything went away on my screen, but it's like, why do that? And it's like, well, I have to because I refuse to fail.
Yeah, I can still see you. So if you all right, cool. Yeah. And so that's the problem, though. It's like I had a really weird DM yesterday, and it was about a politician that was on the television show. And someone's like, why did you have this person on the show? Why did you highlight this person? And I said, highlight ? Well, you know how I feel about that person and this, that, and the other. And an enemy of what is that? It says the friend of my enemy is my enemy. And I'm like, I'm running a business. This is real. This is real Indianapolis BS that I'm telling you right now. And I'm looking, man, and let me tell you just from a political perspective, how nasty it is. You've got people who wrap their minds around gang mentality as it relates to politics.
Dude,
talk about it.
Arrested development is so real because they can everything unless you explain it to someone in the perspective of the dope gang or gang culture. To a lot of our peers in our age range, they can't understand it. They can't fathom it at all. Brother. We have to learn to extend our hands across to Sankofa, to return and resurrect. You know what I mean? What we're trying to create here, because yes, we need the dollar to circulate in the Black community, but we need more dollars invested in the Black community as well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so crazy because I'm looking, I'm telling you, bro, you know, in the midst of like things like Juneteenth and Black Wall Streets and all those things that took place, it's so sad when you realize that even with young people, I watched when I ran for mayor, I watched how how a certain group of politicians, the one that look like us, did everything in their power to utilize the system to block other people from running for office. Instead of looking at it as equal competition and just being like, this is good competition. I'm glad to see young people starting to come out the woodworks who want to run and embrace them. And even if you beat them fair and square, you beat them fair and square, but that's not your enemy. The bad thing about it is Indianapolis has made politicians, we've allowed politicians to be cemented to their seats. They run uncontested. They stay in office for 25, 30 years. Nothing is getting better. Now they're getting checks. And then they say, if you run against me, a black person, you're my enemy.
Jeez.
And I had a text frenzy like that to the degree where it's like, oh, now Greg Meriweather is my enemy because you had a person on your show that ran against someone that I like. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? These are the things that when I talk about liberation and emancipation, these are the things that we have to discuss through your platform. Because when it's all said and done, we have to prepare people to be able to run for office. But we also have to diminish the mindset of people who are already in office who think that they should be there for the rest of their freaking lives.
I think that's nationwide too. I don't think that's just an Indianapolis problem because
there's no changing of the guard. How do you get better? Isn't the statement what Jay-Z said? They say a midget standing on a giant's shoulder could see much further than a giant.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to be the shoulders that nobody stands on. We want to look. I say this all the time, bro. And you tell me your thought.
Okay.
We're the only people who are not evolving. Think about it.
I'll say this.
Think about it. Just say this. Just hear me out.
Okay.
In my opinion, Kobe has to be better than Michael. Why? Because he had Michael to watch. Instead, what we do is we diminish the fact that he watched him and took what he had and then added him. Hold on. And then, but when we look statistically, we say, other than the 6th ring, he's still the highest scoring shooting guard in NBA history, highest rebounding shooting guard in NBA history, 5 rings, tied for the most all defensive teams in NBA history, right? And we don't look at it as evolution. Here's what we say. There will never be another
Michael Jordan.
And then we do everything to prohibit there from being another.
I understand what you're trying to say. And I agree with you. But have you ever talked to anyone old school about baseball?
Sure.
I mean, it's the same thing. You still older white guys and good boxing friends of mine would tell you that people like Mickey Mantle was going to always be the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what you're saying, but
we got to evolve.
I agree with that.
We can't stop. We got to stop prohibiting. There's 1,000 Dr. Kings. There's 1,000 Malcolm X's, and they're better.
How do we stop though? And I was watching Shirley Chisholm, the show on Netflix that just came out, and she said something profound to me that stood out. And it was so true. And I said, that's how change is created. And that's how we evolve. She said, there's so many people out here that are yelling and screaming. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is being a yeller and a screamer. You have to be part of the process in order to make that change. And that's why we're not evolving, because we're not part of the process. Because you got too many people screaming out, oh, don't vote because voting doesn't matter. You got too many people yelling out, oh, don't celebrate Juneteenth because we're not free. We got too many people yelling out, I don't support black business because they bootleg and stuff like that. When if we get involved and become part of the process, and then we can begin to evolve and increase and reach heights that we've never seen.
You saying what I'm saying, but saying it differently. Because here's what I'm saying: we are involved. We're just involved in the destruction.
That's tough.
We are involved. We're just involved in the destruction. When I make the decision of saying that there will never be another, then I'm making a decision to make that happen. So a man thinketh, so is he. So a man continue to think, so he shall remain. So if I look and I say, ain't gonna be nobody this great, white folk took you from Sir Isaac Newton all the way to Elon Musk. They said Bill Gates is gone. Okay, so what?
I didn't think about it like that.
When you think about it, you went from Steve Jobs, all these people, to Elon. And they still trying to find the next brilliant person to say, this person is brilliant and let's get behind it and build something different. So we look and we say, you look, Branson can go to the moon. Elon can go to the moon. You can name all kind of white cats. It's like, I got a rocket too. And ain't nobody saying, oh, you copying such and such. Are you taking old boy's staff?
So you're talking about a mentality.
Say, come on. We are involved. We're involved in diminishing our own process, our own progress. So instead of saying, I got to get behind this guy, he took it upon himself to be able to say, I'm going to jump out here and do something with this day called Juneteenth and put it on his shoulders. I got to get behind this brother. He got 3 online radio stations. He's on TV. He's got his own podcast. Why? It's not The Voice. He did it on his own. He didn't wait on white folk to say, give it to me. Instead, what we do, we wait on the people that white folk pick. And then we wonder why they don't do nothing for black folk. Get me on track. Get me on track.
Man, when you preach it, you preach
it. Because Webb, I'm just looking at us and I'm saying it's enough people trying. But it's more people denying their efforts.
So you're saying that we've become our own demise.
Sure.
In a sense.
We don't want someone to. We act like you're taking something away from King by utilizing what King had and myself. I'm living in his. I'm walking in his shoes. But I'm adding Greg Meriweather flavor.
Did you watch or catch that clip with Mike Tomlin talking with Ryan Clark and those other guys?
What'd he say?
He was just talking about, man, that's coaching. You know, that's something that can be coached. That's something that can be fixed. That's something that can be reversed.
Yeah.
I don't think that and it's something I don't want to say cultural PTSD, but it's something that has been inherited in Black culture since slavery, which makes days like Juneteenth even more important. Let's push that narrative. If Juneteenth is going to be about freedom, let's be free from that mindset that, that slave, the house Negro, the field Negro. Let's use Juneteenth as a way, or not. It even got to be Juneteenth. Forget what I'm doing.
All of it.
Let's use growth as a way to not see, like, whoever said something about bootlegging. I'm not trying to pick on them.
No.
Let's just use moving forward as a way to no longer tear down Black culture or people trying to do anything.
Sure.
Like in that panel discussion the other day, someone was saying something and it was just trying to make change. Somebody else dissed what they said, and I'm like, man, be support anybody doing anything in the Black community that's constructive and positive and that's moving the needle forward.
If it has to be constructive, it has to be constructive, because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people just jump out here for the buck.
Oh yeah. It has to be constructive.
It has to be constructive.
And I'm saying with the right mentality behind it. Like,
sure.
Trying to stop violence in the community and just wanted to reach out and talk to people and make the neighborhood more communal. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing wrong with that. And so we have to get back into I think Killer Mike said one of the best moments in Black culture was right after 1865, when we had to own our own properties and had to support each other, and we didn't have a lot of things to lean on for support. But we have to stop tearing each other down.
Yeah, I think we have to.
That has been instilled in us since slavery, and that's something personally we all have to. Well, the culture has to remove. You know what I mean?
So my brother Ibrahim Tanner, he said some people are special and can't be duplicated. Agreed.
I don't
think it can be duplicated. Also, it's more about timing than the actual person. Windows of opportunity open and close. Agreed. So here's what I'm saying, Tanner. I'm saying that we have to be better agents of seeing what looks like it, seeing what has the same DNA per se, seeing what has that same skeletal thing, and saying, you know what, that's there, and I hate it. I think one of the worst things as a former athlete / basketball player, one of the worst things I've ever heard is how people was like, he stole his moves. He's supposed to. He's supposed to. It worked. And if you have the work ethic, then you take that and add you. It's like that's what it's supposed to be. It's like almost the mentality if we never had a great father in our lives, we don't know what emulation means.
Come on.
Because if I looked and my father was a great man, then I want to be like my dad. So at that point, I took what my dad had and then I added me. And then I took the stuff that where he failed and I added the good parts. So therefore, I became every man wants, if you're real about being a man, every man wants his son to be a better man than he.
It's real.
So why don't we carry that mentality in our community to say, if there's someone out here who is great, we need to make sure someone greater. God, this is just my belief in a higher power. God don't leave no voids. And 9 times out of 10, whomever comes after comes to make it better because they have the example of that which was. Even not to be preachy, but if Christ says you will do even greater works than me, and he said, because you've seen me. So how do we now get to a point where we say we're diminishing all this talent simply because we want to keep somebody on a pedestal? We can't be those people.
I never looked at it like that. I mean, and it's just biology was supposed to evolve and get better. You know what I mean?
Preach.
So that's just how it is. I mean, I never looked at it like that. I respect that.
Yeah, tenure should do something. It should. It's like, just think about it. Our tenacity changed. Oh, I'm gonna tell you this. This is good. But our tenacity changed because this is why so many people are hell-bent on us diminishing our past. They want to kill our history because our history showed strength.
Right.
You talk about a people who could not read, who had the tenacity to believe that they were free. They were slaved, but not enslaved.
Brother, I created a Juneteenth organization. Trust me.
You hear me? So all of a sudden you look and you say, this is what you're from.
Right.
And you went from bondage to even having billionaires in a place that hates you. But then on top of that, it's like, but now it's like we're this cycle of going backwards is taking place. So how do you fix it, Webb? What's your thought?
How do we fix that cycle? Again, coaching, again, being part of the process. And again, man, like you can't do anything without tangible resources.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And the only way we improve this with everything you just explained is to invest in ourselves and to coach and to light those sparks I mentioned earlier, and to teach people about the value of their culture, how beautiful they are, where they come from, like you just said, and to continually invest not only just with information, but also financially back into where we come from.
Sure. My brother Tanner said, you may get a better boxer, but you will not get a better Muhammad Ali without Jim Crow, without Black community, and without the ability for an athlete to be an individual without corporate interest. Times have changed. I agree. But that's the thing, Tanner. Go ahead, bro.
But you could get a better Muhammad Ali.
You can
not get another Muhammad Ali, but you could possibly get a better Muhammad Ali.
Agreed. Because I think
if that window he mentioned opens up and it provides, but if we continue to tear people down, no one will ever step up when that window opens.
Or how about this? How about if we start looking at the people who have been placed on this earth to fight against the system
Mhm.
are supported. Now what happens is Muhammad Ali had a whole different group of black people that said, that's our brother. They didn't watch him get tore back and did nothing. That picture, I have that picture where Ali, Kareem, Jim Brown, you name it, they was all around him. And they said, if this brother got the nerve to stand, we got the nerve to stand with him. And the problem is now we have people who have the nerve to stand, but we let corporate America not stand. We get scared. When they did that boycott and people had to drive, it took everybody. And people said, I'm with it. And people took L's, people lost jobs, people lost homes, people lost a lot. But people knew that losing, what they lost was to gain. But we're no longer those people that say, man, before I ever get on my knees, I'll lose. Y'all can have this stuff. I've been that person. I remain that person. The crazy thing is, even now, people are scared to deal with me simply because they know how I stand. So Muhammad Ali got a whole different backing. And people don't, this, bro, when I ask people to share this stuff, they don't want to share this. They afraid who's gonna see it.
So let me get your opinions on this. Also, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Kareem, Bill Russell, those guys, they weren't making $100 million either. So
They weren't.
So what do you say to people who are like, hey, I don't want to fumble the bag?
Listen, I always ask this, brother Webb.
And I didn't mean to be the host for a second.
No. I like this is good dialogue. What's the greater shackle, the metal one or the paper one? Because for lack of better examples, and I'm glad that he was the example, but Kanye West showed you that money went real. Because once you open your mouth and you decide to say something that goes against that power structure, we say the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. They say I give it and I take it away.
What was it? Farrakhan said, you can put it in the ground and it grows
nothing. So when it's all said and done, we've lost our way simply because we chase in the bag. If we ever thought about the fact that just us being unified brought more bag than anything.
Come on.
More money. We have more money then than we do now, simply because we own our home, own our businesses, own everything.
There's not even more money we would have, more power.
We have way more power.
And
how you think most of this stuff transpired? Because we were unified.
We have to learn to, and it goes back to what you're saying about evolve. I don't want to be the only person in my community with a lot of money. I want my whole community to have, and so that's right. And then that goes back to what could we do as a people if we begin to grow from each other, evolving in a sense. That goes back into investing in the school system. That goes back into stopping gentrification from happening, and go back to investing in our neighborhood and our properties and bringing businesses here and grocery stores in our areas. So
brother Preston said two things I want to touch on. He said, respectfully, is it a diminishing or is it uniqueness? Kobe and Michael were both great. Does that mean that does better mean replacement? So I'm not saying replace, because here's what I said. I said it doesn't take anything away from Michael's greatness. His greatness lives. We have to understand the greatness lives when someone takes that and moves it forward. They still get to see Mike. This is what it means. This is when your legacy. This is what it means when son takes on great dad behaviors. He had a great dad. He took on the great dad behaviors where his dad failed. He saw where his dad failed and he fixed those things to become a greater man. We have to see this. Mike still lived through Kobe. We were excited. Why do we want that talent to die? The word, it says that energy does not go away. It transfers.
One to another.
So why are we trying to kill the transfer and make it a bad thing? Mike still lived on. But now that they're both gone, you have to say, where is it? You know why? Let's watch this. Because we badmouthed the emulation so bad that nobody wants to follow that.
I agree with what you said, and I didn't want to take it to a basketball analogy because this is Indiana, and I know how we feel about basketball. but what you're saying is keep it basketball. What you're saying is evident in Isaiah Thomas to Allen Iverson to Kyrie Irving. It is evolving Steph Curry at that point guard position.
Yeah.
Go there, the greatness can be seen there, and everyone I just named was better and better as they moved up. I know
nobody put a cap on that position.
Right.
There you go.
And I know a lot of people would argue with me about Isaiah and Iverson, but either way.
But what does it mean when Allen Iverson says Kyrie's got the best handles I've ever seen?
Right.
It pushes it forward.
Yeah.
Because now you have one that we deem one of the greatest saying, no, this is greatness.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you have that, when you take off that cap of hate, and you says this game got to evolve, so must our community, so much leaders, so much preachers, so much teachers. Everybody needs to say, man, this gets better. And if we keep putting caps on greatness, this is what you see. You wonder why kids kill themselves. Listen, when Tupac said that ain't no hope for the future, because all of a sudden you start doing everything to put a cap on greatness. Everything, listen, to evolve the self-respect, right? That's what Chuck D said, because we got to keep ourselves in check or else it's self-destruction, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to be more evolving as opposed to more capping. Just my thought. Just my thought. There's another Prince. There's another Michael. There's another Stevie. We just have to be willing to embrace them when they emerge and say, okay, you got it. Take it and run with it, as opposed to say, you copycat. Just my thought. Just my thought. So, brother, tell us where you're going to be, man. What you're going to be doing, what's coming up soon.
Soon we have, and May 19th is our next event. A couple Sundays ago, March 10th, we had our Punches for Purpose Champions of the Future boxing showcase. That was in March 10th. But May 19th, we have our Miss Indy Juneteenth scholarship pageant. It'll be young ladies and women from ages ranging from 8 to, I believe, in their 40s, 45, 46, I believe. And we'll be giving away scholarships for that program. And that takes place at Shelton Auditorium at Butler University. Then after that, we'll be preparing for the 7th annual Indy Juneteenth celebration. It starts from June 12th all the way through the 19th. We have things from Black Entertainment Trivia. We have our College and Career Conference on June 13th. On June 15th is the parade and the large festival at Military Park. June 16th is our 2nd annual Indy Juneteenth boxing showcase from boxers from all over the country. And June 18th is our culture cooking, where we highlight a Black chef that's going to prepare a good meal. We're going to do it live. That's Juneteenth inspired. And June 19th, as we always do on Juneteenth, we have our fireworks show. So remember, support a Black-owned and operated Juneteenth organization, because that money and that support comes right back into your community as we give scholarships away and provide platforms for small businesses and arts programs to promote themselves and to highlight themselves so other organizations can grow and evolve, as we just mentioned. But that's where we'll be May and June. So,
my brother, man. Well, brother, it has been a total pleasure having you on. Make sure you send me anything you have. We Facebook friends, brothers, whatever. I'm on your LinkedIn page as well. I believe we're friends. Mm-hmm. But whatever you got, man, send so that I can be able to, pub that on my page. I do that out of love for my brother. Because when it's all said and done, we got to be better agents of help. We got to help each other get rich.
Bottom line.
I'm just keeping it 100. We can't all be poor. It's just real. So, man, I appreciate you, brother. It's been a pleasure. God willing, I'll see you sometime this week, and we'll chop it up like we normally do.
My brother.
All right, man. It's been James Webb, man. Y'all brothers, tell our brother goodbye. Have a good one, brother. Peace. And so, man, that's man, that was great. It was great. That was a great conversation, man. So I just want y'all to know, man, we got to do a better job of being great agents for our own growth. When it's all said and done, it's like, make sure we share. If we got talented people in this community, we got to do a better job of sharing the talent that we have. We have to uplift that talent. There's nothing wrong with looking at someone and saying that's greatness. And you know, that's where the whole song came from. I want to be like Mike. Somebody just took it seriously and did the work. Don't knock the work on Real Talk, man. So let's do it. Verse of the day. Galatians 5:1. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. We are not in bondage, people. Anybody that tells you you're in bondage, you tell them that I said you're not. And when it's all said and done, man, we need to operate with a whole different level of freedom. We need to be free in our minds, be free in our speech, be able to articulate our pains. We need to be able to tell people, you know what, this is what I support. This is what I believe. I'm willing to fight for this. I'm willing to stand on my freedom. I'm willing to die for my freedom. When it's all said and done, no one should be able to put you in chains. No dollar amount is worth you being put in chains. None. Look around. I've always said this. Look around. Look in your home. Find what's Black owned. Do you have a Black owned refrigerator, stove, cabinet, fork, spoon, plate, window, microwave, furnace, bench, couch, stool, seat? The answer is probably no. So what are you doing? What are we doing? We have to be the people who open our own doors. We have to be the people who liberate ourselves. Anytime you're asking for freedom, you'll never get it. You must take it. This has been your brother, man. Make sure you share the show. If you want to donate to No Apologies, please, we have a Cash App, No Apologies, please. Man, we taking this to the top. We're trying to build a show. We're trying to build a network. This is y'all brother, Greg Meriweather. Y'all have a great one. Peace.